Okay, I will call the work session for Tuesday, September 7th, 2021 to order. The time is 6:30. Item 2 is citizens' comments. Do you have any comments? We'll drop down to discussion items. Item 1, past performance and consideration of continued service with Waste Connections, Lone Star LLC. Item 21169. We have Abel Moreno here representing the company. So you want to come on up, Abel?
Yes, sir.
You guys have any questions? And he's here to answer your questions.
Hi, good afternoon. First and foremost, I know there's been some issues in the past year, but I'd also like to add our industry as a whole, excuses aside, have gone through a lot with the labor shortages, COVID. You know, the unfortunate thing with everything we're going through, to everyone, it sounds like a bunch of excuses. I can say that every time we've gone up against something, we've always gotten our arms around it and fairly quickly have resolved any issues that we've come across. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions.
Well, I think the first question would be, has things started improving as far as employees working, helping out? Because I know you had a shortage of employees, you know.
Yes, ma'am. So a couple things that we instituted a few months ago was raise increases and wage increases to all our employees across the board. We couldn't just give raises to the new hires and not take care of our tenured folk, right? So we had to do it across the board in excess of 5%, which is, as you know, working day to day, 2.52% is commonplace. We felt with everything we're going through, we had to take care of our employees and make sure that we had competitive wages across the board. I can tell you right now, there's not one company that I know of that pays their employees better than we do at this point. That goes for both drivers and the helpers on the back of our trucks.
On my street today, they left some trash. I'm on Bluebell. And I don't know why they wouldn't have picked it up, but they left it.
I can't answer that, man, but I will look into it and make sure it gets taken care of first thing in the morning. I can say in the past couple months, the emails we received from the city, as far as complaints, we've received 5 total complaints since August 1st.
I know July was a big problem.
Right.
Well, as a city, we've taken the necessary steps, per the contract, where the fines come into play now. So I think we've taken the necessary steps we need to at this time.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I'd add is we as a city, and we've talked about this in council before, we totally understand the staffing shortages. COVID has had an impact, not just on your industry, but tons of industries. I think it's just a big issue with communication. I think as long as we can get good communication and we know ahead of time that there's issues, we can relay those issues to our citizens. And that will limit the frustration amongst everybody significantly, I believe.
Yeah, and the response time.
Right.
Yeah.
So if there's any way that as a company, you guys know that there's going to be issues ahead of time, if you can inform us and let us know, we're happy to send those messages out. We will not be angry if there's an issue that we know about ahead of time. We're happy to share that information with our citizens. And I think we'll see a significant drop in complaints if we're allowed to inform our citizens before the issue arises.
Yeah.
I think that'll be beneficial too.
The biggest thing has been communication.
Yeah, especially if there's a truck that, breaks down or something, that we need to know. It might be tomorrow or whatever, we can get the message out to everybody if we just know. So,
Understood. I will make sure
okay,
personally that we take care of that.
okay, good. That'll help a lot.
Yeah, that's a biggie.
Yeah.
Anybody have any more questions for?
Communications was mine.
Mine was communications because people ask me all the time. It's like, what's going on? It's like, I don't know. And if I don't get the information, I can't tell other people that are asking me.
April, are you able to highlight real quick what is the preferred complaint procedure from Waste Connections when we have a citizen that has a complaint? Do you want us to ask that citizen to contact you guys directly? Do you want us to forward that complaint on to you?
The way it's working right now, I know we had the issues back in July, but the past couple months have been going really well. We get an email to Lisa Vogel. Lisa Vogel kind of quarterbacks that for us.
Mhm.
It goes to the right individual, and then it gets taken care of. And it gets handled that day. So we've got 24 hours to take care of every issue, so.
Right, but when we have a citizen that calls us, do you want us to field that complaint, forward it to Lisa? Or do you want us to have them contact you directly?
That's
Giving
how-
it to Lisa, because
Yeah.
I'm CC'd in all of those emails.
Because one thing I do want to make sure is I think a lot of residents confuse trash service as being a city service. In other words, the city has employees that staff that and we manage that. We don't. We actually contract with third party being you. So I just want to make sure that we somehow make sure our citizens are aware that it is a third party.
Right.
And so maybe we need to put some better information out there about that and make sure.
So,
all
so
the
I,
residents know.
I'm still confused. What does a citizen do? Call the city or call Waste Management?
Calls the city and we
Okay.
forward that complaint on.
Okay, okay.
Now,
Or
something,
Waste Connections, I'm sorry, not Waste
Yes,
Management,
yeah.
different company.
My only concern would be on
Waste Connections.
Fridays. If they come home after 5 o'clock, City Hall shut down, then they would need to contact the company.
They do
Our
tell them if
residents.
it's after hours that they contact Waste Connections.
But I mean, they would have to do it.
Yeah, the
At that
citizen
point.
is told, yeah, if it's after 5, they need to call Waste Connections.
Who tells them that?
We do.
Okay, but how are you gonna do that if it's after 5 when they call?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if we deal with a complaint, there's people that come in and they're saying, well, if they don't pick it up, well, if it's after 5 and our office is closed, just make the complaint to the actual businesses.
So should we put that in our
Right.
newsletter that goes out on
Yes.
the quarterly, just to let
Yes,
them
'cause
know?
For the website.
what you just said, I'm not gonna know that if it's after 5 and I'm calling you guys to complain.
Yeah.
We also, with the new phone system upgrade that we did a little while back, we're also able to add little messages on there on the end. So if we can set it up to where when they get the phone message after hours, that we can provide that phone number to them as well. So if they call up here and they're getting it after hours, they'll have the information to call.
Okay,
We can
good.
set that up too.
Thank you. That would be
Is
great.
is your administrative office open after 5 or Saturdays to leave to call them to complain?
our offices are open till 6 PM, and then on Saturdays, they can call us up till 6 PM, but we have supervisors on duty till the last driver hits the yard, so
Okay.
we have employees able to answer. We're usually routes are out till 7:30 at night, so. And most of the time, those complaints are gonna come in before that. Usually as soon as
Right.
people get home, they're making that call.
Anybody have anything else for Abel?
No,
He answered what I wanted to know.
thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry I have to come under these circumstances, but the next time I'm here, I assure you it'll be on better circumstances.
Hey, we're
Thank you.
communicating. That's the
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mayor,
Yes.
matter of order on the agenda, can we move item 2 to being the last item? Because we may not have to do that depending on what happens with impact fees.
I didn't have a 21169 on
I didn't either.
my paper.
And I thought I printed the most up-to-date one according to your email.
I will
Do you have
reprint that.
6-9 on your agenda?
I have,
Yes,
yeah,
I
I
did.
have it on the one I just downloaded.
I have 6-7, 6, 6-5, 6-4, 6-8.
Number one.
My number 1 is 6-7.
Exactly.
Mine's 6-9.
Yeah, it's on the email that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Allen. We had to update the agenda after yours got printed. Did you get the emailed update?
No.
I'm sorry. I'll reprint you another one. We had to add this item on there after the initial print.
I printed mine 15 minutes before I walked in the door.
Well, I don't
If you
know.
printed
I don't know
it
about yours.
offline, it should be this 21169, because I printed mine offline right before the meeting.
I'm not sure what offline means. I open email, I open the thingy, click and print.
You opened the one from me, but you didn't open the one from Craig,
I open the one
Or
from
the-
Craig.
because that's not
It's on here.
That's not the one I have.
Okay, it's not the one everybody has.
It's,
I'm just saying, Craig said there was an error on the agenda and I printed that one.
Okay.
Okay, so let's drop down to
That's
item
okay.
3, the City of Everman Gala event, item 21166.
All right.
So every year, Everman Emergency Services has always hosted our own banquet. We've always hosted that offsite. Typically at the last few years, we hosted it at Red Roadhouse in Kennedale. And it was always a great opportunity for all of the police and fire to get together and have a nice awards banquet and catered dinner and so forth. And it was always a good event. We've talked for a while now about expanding that event, and in talking with Mindy, we'd like to do it across the street at the new Civic Center and make this maybe the first event that we have once the Civic Center is here. This would be for all employees and staff, not just police and fire any longer, but this would be an opportunity for us to have employee recognition, issue out awards, allow employees to have a good time. We would look to charge employees $10 per ticket. And what that $10 goes towards is to help offset the cost of the catering and all the decorations and things that go along with it. Pretty minimal cost, but it allows employees to come and have a good time. We also have a good number of employees that don't ever get to go to an event like this. They never get to go out to a red carpet style event. And it would just be fun for them to be able to have that opportunity to bring their spouses or significant others out and have a good time with other employees. So
So this won't be till after January.
this will not be until after January. That is correct. Yeah, so, yeah, and this would be in lieu of, we've always hosted, we've had a couple we've had our Christmas event here in City Hall, and then we've always had our Thanksgiving luncheon. And both those always seemed kind of back to back. And don't get me wrong, they were great events, but they were very small and they were just for the employees. And typically it was only the ones who were at work that day. So if we had employees that were off or work shift work and weren't available, they never got to participate in those events. So this event would be dedicated to where everybody would have an opportunity to come out and participate, city staff, city council, volunteers, whoever was involved with the city that wanted to come out and participate would be invited to come participate in that. So just kind of wanted to get council's blessing. We don't have a date nailed down yet because we don't know when the
Right.
official ribbon cutting will be, but it'll probably be late January, early February before we target a date for this. Just wanted to get council's blessing on this style event so we can start the planning process.
How do we fund this other than the $10 per ticket?
So typically with the Thanksgiving luncheon that we've always done and the Christmas luncheon, we have the Christmas luncheon within the budget. That's always been planned within the what's the name of that line item? Awards and banquets line item. The Thanksgiving luncheon was always funded through scrap metal sales, all our scrap metal that we compile together. So between those two budgets combined, plus the $10 per ticket for each employee, that should cover all the
Okay.
expenses associated.
Cool. I'm good with it then.
Sounds good.
I'm not asking for more money, I promise.
That's where I'm heading with this. Digging in that pocket.
Anything else on
That
that?
sounds
Wow,
good.
That sounds good.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay, item 4, Tarrant County Fire Alarm and Everman Emergency Services Communications, item 21165.
If it will let me, I'm going to share my screen here.
Oh, thank you.
I've already seen it.
Oh, I do have that printed.
I'm printed weird.
It's because it was probably, the 14. Yeah.
That's not
I
an
got
actual
the
typo,
gist
that's
of it.
PDF.
And the money involved.
Yeah, it's not letting me change that. Okay,
Yes.
your evaluation.
Oh, okay.
so let me give you kind of the short story. Tarrant County Fire Alarm is the countywide fire dispatch for the unincorporated areas of Tarrant County. They are responsible for dispatching currently roughly 14 different agencies, one of those being Everman. They do dispatch Everman for all county calls outside of the Everman city limits. They are currently housed within the Saginaw Fire Station. Saginaw
We
is,
talked about this before.
we have briefly, yep. Saginaw is building a brand new fire station and will be either demolishing or repurposing their old facility for other city purposes. Within the new fire station, they are not building a space to continue to house the Tarrant County Fire Alarm Dispatch.
Why?
Well, primarily because City of Saginaw Fire Department is actually dispatched now by a totally different entity. So Saginaw, the Tarrant County Fire Alarm has been looking
Oh.
for an alternative location. That brought up an idea in my mind of joining forces with them essentially, so that we can lower the cost of the infrastructure. The whole goal here is we have to already pay for internet, telephone, utilities, housing. We have to pay for the radio infrastructure and the equipment. Tarrant County Fire Alarm also has to do the same thing. They have to pay for all the same items that we have to pay for. So rather than two entities essentially paying for double the equipment, we can come together and house under one roof and split the cost of that infrastructure, which will actually give us increased capability at a lower cost is the goal here. It will also, because Tarrant County Fire Alarm would be moving with Everman Emergency Services, Everman is considered a primary PSAP. What that means is when you call 911 and you're inside of Everman, you go directly to our dispatch agency. Tarrant County Fire Alarm is considered a secondary PSAP, meaning when you call 911, you will not get Tarrant County Fire Alarm first. You have to get transferred to them. When you call, you're probably either going to get Everman or Fort Worth or Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. That's just the way the 911 system is set up. They're considered a secondary PSAP. They don't get primary 911 calls.
I go to Kennedale.
Do you? Yeah.
Kennedale, yeah.
Yeah, depending on which cell phone service you have, and that's a whole 911 issue that the mayor can address while he's on that board. But depending on where you are geographically and what cellular tower you hit and where it's roughly pinging your location, you could call 911 and you might get Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Kennedale, or Everett.
Yeah, I get Fort Worth from my house.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't know.
So what word are you saying? Peace app?
PSAP, yes.
PSAP?
PSAP, yes, ma'am. PSAP.
Oh, not PEASAP.
Correct,
Um,
correct, yeah.
An
Yeah.
acronym.
PSAP. Oh, there it is. Okay. Had
So
peace.
as a primary PSAP, we get a funding piece through 911 fees that are paid on your cell phone bill or home phone bill. You pay 911 fees. Those fees go to Tarrant County 911. Tarrant County distributes those fees to the different agencies to help offset costs. Secondary PSAPs do not get funding from Tarrant County 911. So by Tarrant County Fire Alarm moving in with us, that actually will make Tarrant County Fire Alarm and us a primary PSAP with a larger service population, which means we'll actually have an open door to more funding capability through Tarrant County 911. So not only are we looking at cohabitating and lowering our infrastructure cost and increasing our capability, it's also opening some doors up for us for increased funding capability through 911. What I've gone to them to propose is that Tarrant County Fire Alarm move in to the Everman Police Department. We would convert the current training room, which is a 735 square foot room inside the police department, into a dispatch center. That dispatch center would look something like this, if you can see that on the screen. I know that's
Yeah.
not very dark. This would give us the capability of housing up to 7 dispatchers at any one time. Currently, Everman operates with 1 dispatcher on duty at all time. Tarrant County Fire Alarm operates with 2 to 3 dispatchers on at a time. So we would be looking at 3 to 4 dispatchers operating in there on a normal basis. This would also give us the opportunity to expand this operation in the future should we need to grow or other agencies decide to join in and merge with us to help lower everybody's costs. The more we join together, the lower the infrastructure cost becomes for everybody. There are other agencies that have expressed interest in wanting to join forces with us on doing this. This is the IT room that would be built right off of the dispatch center. This was already spec'd out with the fire station. When we talked about joining the fire station and police department together, this is the IT room that services both buildings, the police department and the fire department. Already built within the budget. We were already going to do this anyway, so I'm not asking you for any more money.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is just the total project cost that I broke down for Tarrant County Fire Alarm. Tarrant County Fire Alarm is going to be contributing $45,000 towards the upfit and the retrofit of this room. Tarrant County 911 has now agreed to allocate $50,000 towards it as well, totally offsetting our cost. So we're not out any additional funding. All that has been taken up by the other entities involved. Total project cost roughly $81,000, not including some of the furniture and upgrades and things All that's covered through the funding that we have already available. So again, not asking for any more money to make this happen.
And that includes the electrical for 30,000.
That includes the electrical for 30,000. That
Okay.
includes all.
Oh, wow.
What I will be coming back to you, and I just wanted to make sure this is more of just a briefing of letting you know what we're looking at, what the proposal is. I think this is going to be a great avenue for us to be able to save money, increase our capability. Some of the things that will benefit from this is that currently our fire department is dispatched by police dispatchers. They are not what you call EMD certified, emergency medical dispatch certified, meaning that they don't have any medical training when they take a 911 call for an EMS call. They also have minimal fire training. We have one dispatcher that is a certified fire dispatcher because he actually works part-time at Tarrant County Fire Alarm in addition to working here. This will actually allow us to have EMD dispatching. It will allow us to have fire dispatching, which will contribute to lowering our ISO rating, which will in turn also lower our insurance rates for all of our businesses and residents within the city.
This keeps getting better and better.
That's,
Yeah, it does.
that's the goal. That is the goal.
So
I
if,
did also, oh, go ahead.
pardon me.
No, you're fine.
If we don't have any or only have one dispatcher currently for what you just said, would our dispatchers be trained? Or could we get them some of that training?
So we would operate this with having fire dedicated dispatchers and our police dedicated dispatchers. Our staffing model really wouldn't change that much.
Okay,
But as it stands right now, if we have any sort of major disaster or emergency that occurs with that one dispatcher in there, that dispatcher is immediately overwhelmed.
yes.
And we've had that happen. We've had major incidents, assaults, fires, things that take place, and that dispatcher becomes instantly overwhelmed because they're by themselves. There's nobody there to back them up.
Mhm.
The other benefit to cohabbing is that they will have some cross training to be able to back each other up and assist each other when we have a major incident. Like that.
Okay,
And we've talked in length about that with Tarrant County Fire Alarm.
okay.
Our dispatchers will be able to focus now solely on police dispatching, which will increase their skills and training in that area. While we have other dispatchers that focus solely on fire dispatching, giving them higher quality of service to the fire departments that they're servicing.
Gotcha.
I anticipate once this merge happens and we get procedures and things lined out, that this will wind up drawing in other agencies that want to be dispatched by us, which means we may increase the staffing as we move forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the questions that are on the table is how does this model work as far as management? Is this going to be a cohabitation? In other words, Tarrant County Fire Alarm and Everman just shares the space in there and they manage their people and we manage ours? Or would we be looking to do a full merger and they would actually become employees of the city of Everman, meaning that we would be responsible for managing them through the funding sources and things associated with Tarrant County Fire Alarm? All that is kind of up in the air and still in discussion on how it's going to go right now. But I wanted to brief council on this, that these discussions are happening, why they're happening, and what the benefits would be to doing this, because likely in the near future, we're going to be bringing back some interlocal agreements or contracts to consider and approving to move forward with this.
Okay.
And what's the goal to have this done?
Well, the original goal was to have this done by October. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think we're like, no.
So
No.
we ran into snafus with funding and we've had to find some additional funding. The Tarrant County Emergency Services District is involved in this as well. They're attributing funding to buying a whole new generator to power all the dispatch equipment in there
Mhm.
through ARPA funds. The county is working on funding that portion of the piece. So we still have some agreements and things to line out. I'm thinking we're probably going to be more on target for March or April before this is up and operational. Because even once the agreements are done and the facility has been retrofitted, we have to move all of this equipment. And this is very technical equipment that we have to move
Mhm.
from Saginaw to Everett.
Yeah.
And we have to move it a piece at a time while keeping both centers operational. Motorola will be coming in and installing all new radio equipment in this dispatch center. They are through Tarrant County 911. We received a grant for $750,000 worth of radio equipment infrastructure that's going to go in there. We don't have to match any money.
Mhm.
All that's paid for. We got that grant about a year ago and have just been waiting and waiting and waiting to get this project going. And then this popped up in the middle of that. So we had to put the brakes on it to figure out if we were going to move forward with this or not. But it looks like we're on track to make this happen.
Okay, so will any of the routing change far as Kennedale getting calls and Fort Worth getting calls?
That is an issue that 911 and even now the state legislature, they've
good.
enforced some, or they've enacted some new laws to address those new bills. That's a technical issue that we would have no control over. That's all going to be a Tarrant County 911 issue on how they route those calls, what cellular towers go where.
Yeah.
But it is an identified issue. It's been brought before the state now, and they've passed bills to try to get all that corrected and get it fixed. But that's technology beyond.
I've
my
just got a
comprehension.
non-emergency number for the dispatcher that I use on my phone.
Well, that's one of the reasons why
It's-
Fort Worth, the city of Fort Worth just put out a big campaign about calling the Fort Worth Fire Department non-emergency number if you need an ambulance, because it's quicker.
Yeah.
And they were getting short on dispatchers to be able to answer those 911 calls, the primary 911 calls. And so you could call the fire department direct, and they were encouraging people to use the backline numbers rather than 911 because the system is becoming over inundated.
Well, their fire dispatchers are actually dispatching police calls.
Yes.
I know somebody that works up there and he said they're actually dispatching.
There
police
is
calls.
a major dispatcher shortage right now.
Wow.
I know, like I said, I've got Everman's number to call instead of 911 when I need something. And I just use that number.
293-2923?
Yeah.
6. It works for me.
So right now, then we're looking at no cost for us.
Right, no cost other than what we've already budgeted and are planning to spend. Some of this is from the certificate of obligation funds that were allocated to the fire
Right.
station,
Right.
the IT portion of that. So we've already got the funding sitting there. We just haven't spent it yet,
Right.
as we're waiting to see what happens.
So on the map,
Yes, ma'am.
that long piece on the right,
Yes, ma'am.
that's the open space currently between police and fire?
That is the open space between police and fire. Yes.
Okay, and the building in of that open space is budgeted in here somewhere, or it's part of the grant?
Within the CO, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That is correct.
and it looks like there's only one entrance from the training room or whatever we're gonna call it.
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct. And that's a secure entrance because these are all servers
Yes.
Mhm.
that will house criminal justice information. So there cannot be a fire exit in there.
Yes,
It
okay.
has to have that secure access door.
Okay, so down on the bottom of it,
Yes,
scroll
ma'am.
down, it looks like there's some kind of little dotted line. I mean,
That's
it
just
looks like a
showing-
wall, but
Yeah, that's actually where the end of the building comes across and then back over. And then where the drawing was going to continue is where the fire station actually comes back
Okay.
out.
okay. just
So
wanted to see what
this
that
will be a
was.
very, very narrow alleyway
Yes.
there, very
Yes.
narrow.
Yeah, there's not much.
Just
space
for
there.
water drainage is all it's
Okay.
designed. for.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Well, I like
Alright.
it. It looks like you put a lot of research into this,
Well, that's the goal.
Well, that's a good thing.
and we're not spending any money that we haven't already allocated.
That's right.
That's a
Well, that's
biggie.
great.
All right.
Anything else?
No, that's excellent.
Okay, we drop down to item 5, Scenic City Certification, item 21164.
So the Scenic City Certification is a program that's sponsored by the Texas Municipal League. I learned about it through TML, as a matter of fact, and it's a pretty interesting program. What actually attracted me to it was we have talked about beautification efforts within the city of Everman and what we need to do to start beautifying our city and what steps we can take. We've talked about code enforcement issues. We've talked about utility lines. We've talked about all these different things and trying to beautify and improve the city. And when you beautify and improve a city, you're also improving the economic sustainability for that city. You're improving property values within that city. So all this kind of became attractive to me when I started researching the program. Mindy and I sat on a conference call with one of the directors of the program the other day, who broke out the entire program for us. And there's several different levels of certification through this program, recognized bronze, gold, platinum, all these different levels. And the levels aren't about how beautiful is your city. The levels are all about what steps has the city taken to preserve the natural beauty, to limit obtrusive construction or utility impacts, and just overall essentially passing of ordinances and rules and regulations and codes to maintain as much of the natural environment as we possibly can and improve landscaping. So there is a huge application packet that was attached to the agenda item. It was not attached to the agenda. I didn't
No.
attach that to the
It wasn't.
agenda item. Oops. I will get that to you.
Thank you.
So you can
Wait, how
review it.
huge is this?
I'm sorry.
Is
How
it
many
50
pages?
pages?
No, it's not that many. It's not that, it's just a lot thicker than what I would have thought it was gonna. I thought it was gonna be
If
like a
it's
couple
more
of
than 20
categories.
pages, just copy it and give it to us.
Yeah, no, I'll get you a hard copy so you can look through it. But
Okay.
I think this will be a great thing to pursue. The application fee is $750. The certification is good for 4 years. We can also, as we progress through this, we can reapply or what you call it, an upgrade or a upgrade on the certification. So as we progress and look at passing certain ordinances, if we wanted to go from a bronze to a gold, we could reapply. And there's a lesser fee to reapply to upgrade our certification level. By having a certification through Scenic City, this will be a great advertisement tool for economic development as we look to recruit businesses and things to move within our city. And I think overall, it's going to be a good roadmap for us as far as trying to decide what ordinances we want to adopt as a city to beautify the city overall. Some of the complaints I've had that I've been working on behind the scenes are utilities, our electrical lines. Our city is littered with utility poles all over the place, electrical lines everywhere hanging in the air. You can't drive down Enon without seeing 32 different poles. And sometimes you'll see 3 or 4 poles all within 10 feet of each other because they've put in a new one and haven't removed the old one.
Mhm.
The Scenic
Some
City
of 'em are
program.
lean- Some of them are leaning over.
Some of, yes, and it looks terrible.
Mhm.
Very
Scenic
tacky.
City within this program has ordinances and examples and things that we can adopt that would prohibit that and give us an enforcement arm on making sure that our utility companies clean up and provide underground utilities for new construction to limit the intrusiveness.
They better get that done on Enon before we get that road done.
Well, it doesn't retroactively tell them that they got to come in and change these lines. That would get expensive. But
Yeah.
with new construction or when they do have to come back and replace lines, those would have to be underground at those
Okay.
times. So it's a good starting point, I think. And what I wanted to get from council was kind of a consensus to move forward on researching this and maybe start checking off the boxes on what ordinances we already do have in place and what ordinances may be most important to start with on getting drafted.
And you said it's 4 years?
The certification is good for 4 years.
Yeah.
The application period is from January to April, I believe. So we would actually apply in January and then we would be working with our staff and sending them the ordinances that we have.
Would this help with some of the businesses, buildings they have looking really tacky, improve?
Yes, it would. It would
That's
also
one of my
improve with
business.
signage. There's a lot of,
Especially the one by the new shopping center.
yes, there's a lot of ordinances related to the signage that's placed up, like one of the requirements, well, not one of the requirements, but one of the suggested requirements to achieving the platinum certification was no wind signs in the city, to recommend that the city ban wind signs and not have any of those because they wind up, as you can drive around and see, we have a few businesses that use those, but they've been torn up because of the wind and now they're raggedy and
Faded,
they don't look very good.
look
And
ratty.
and we can't require them to take them down because we don't have an ordinance that bans them. There's some beautification efforts within there. Now, one of the things to remember is every time we pass an ordinance, if a building is already existing in
I
its
know,
current
it goes into
state,
the history.
it's
yes.
correct. It's
Grandfathered.
grandfathered in essentially.
Grandfather. Mhm.
They call it existing prior existing non-conforming, which means unless they do a major renovation of some sort, nothing is going to require.
Surely
any
we have
change.
some code things that can improve some of these.
Once that
looks.
business is sold, transferred, re-rented. Now, one of the other things that I've been working with Nicoletti on is we want to advertise that we do have grant money out there available through EDC.
Well,
for
that's
these
what I was
businesses.
gonna say, if you, for replacing the signs, if they pay half or whatever.
Exactly. And I think we've talked about wanting to try to do a better job in targeting some of these businesses that are problems. Say, hey, look, you're an eyesore. We want to help you fix it. We'll pay for half, or the EDC can pay for half of it through a grant program if you apply. Bring it up and let's see if we can fix it together.
Well,
And I
it is
think-
kind of a shame when you got a really nice shopping center and then right across the street,
Yes,
there it is. And
yes,
it's like, oh my,
yes,
it's so bad.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't disagree.
yeah, I know.
But I will make sure that next week, all of you have a printed copy of all the requirements on this. We don't need a vote at this time, just kind of a consensus on whether or not this is something that city council feels would be beneficial to us, and we would start to move forward with it.
Yes.
The application fee is also not much, $750 for this, and I think
Yeah.
it'd be highly beneficial to us and a great economic development tool.
I like it.
Everybody good?
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll drop down to item 6, review the potential if
Oh,
if
Of, sorry,
of
Typo.
implementing impact fees,
Susie's great.
21168,
minus five.
spell check.
I'm surprised I didn't get an
We got
email
mark
from
it
her.
there, oh.
Okay, so let's talk about impact fees for a second. First off, please don't panic. This does not impact anything that's already currently in place. We're not looking to impact or raise fees for any current customers or residents on our system. That's not what this is. What impact fees are, they are designed to assist with capital improvement projects as a result of development, increased development. Currently, we do charge impact fees as a pass-through to the city of Fort Worth. But the city of Everman does not have any ordinance that implements impact fees. What impact fees are, and most likely what we would start with would be the water impact fees, is anytime somebody has a new water tap, new development, or new construction, they would have to pay an impact fee to the city of Everman for that connection. In other words, they're paying for their impact onto our system that we are at some point going to have to reinvest in to maintain or improve that system as a result of the development that comes in. Why am I bringing this to you now? Well, because we have a 202 home development that it's on its way. And we have a large 210,000 square foot commercial building that is on its way.
How big?
210,000 square foot.
Wow.
That 210,000 square foot building, I can't go into potentially what it is just yet because of the economic development rules, but I can tell you it is going to have a significant demand of water with what they're looking to put in there. So these impact fees are important because historically, we've always had to levy property taxes in order to do these capital improvement projects. Impact fees that are collected are allocated solely towards capital improvement. We can't spend these fees on anything other than what's outlined within our capital improvement plan. The fees range and depend upon our capital improvement plan. The capital improvement plan, for the purposes of setting impact fees, has to be developed by a certified engineer and in accordance with engineering and planning standards. That's outlined within that handout that I sent you. So it's going to be a little bit more of an expertise thing than what I am able to provide. It will require a certified engineer to work on this. So I reached out to our city attorney's office and began talking with our city attorney about how we implement impact fees. And it is a very convoluted process.
Of course.
10 steps.
Yes, a very easy 10 steps to take. He connected us with a consultant who has worked with other like-sized cities in the past to develop these and implement these. And the timeline for implementing impact fees is roughly 5 months,
Okay.
which means the clock is ticking. Because in order to implement these impact fees prior to the development over here, we have to have this ordinance passed prior to them applying for building permits.
Oh, we
If
need
we're
to
going to
move.
look to benefit from the developments that are coming in. We do not know exactly what the impact fee amount is per connection, but I have been told a rough estimate per connection is $2,700. That means if we are able to pass this prior to the residential development coming in, that is over $500,000 in capital improvement funds that we would be able to utilize to put back towards improvements on our water system.
Wow.
That is huge because we are actually spending over $1 million for this residential development coming in. That's why we had to put in a new well,
Oh, no, okay.
so we could get this development come in. So there's Linda. So I am of the belief that it is extremely important to push this issue as quickly as we can to try to get there. Here's the catch. To hire a consultant to assist us throughout this entire process is not cheap. It requires a study and it will cost us roughly $60,000 through this process over the next few months to do. However, ARPA funds may help offset some of this. Honestly, the juice is going to be worth the squeeze, so to speak, on the back end once we're able to implement these fees and we recoup those funds through the collection of the impact fees. I think as a city, we have missed out on so many capital improvement dollars by not having impact fees implemented. We will continue to collect impact fees, not just with residential subdivision developments, but anytime somebody builds a new house, they have to pay an impact fee. Somebody builds a new business, they have to pay an impact fee because they are impacting the infrastructure that we have here. And these funds will go back to help improving that. So what I would like to find out from council tonight is a consensus on whether or not to push forward with this. I think if we don't, we're going to miss out on over $500,000 right off the tip. But we're also going to miss out on significant amount of money to help offset these costs in the future as we get more and more new developments or buildings built within the city.
What is the cost for the consultant fee?
Roughly $60,000.
Oh, okay. No, I heard this. I thought it was something plus something else.
Yeah, and that's an approximate. So if I got city council's consensus to move forward on this tonight, what I would do is work with this consultant to draft a contract. And we would bring that contract back to city council for you to review. So you know exactly what those potential costs will be directly from the contractor. I'm just providing you a rough estimate up front and trying to find out from council if you want me to move forward with this or not.
So you're saying that we might be able to recoup the 60,000 from that 500,000-ish
Correct.
total? Okay, all right.
And or
And
use,
or
and or use ARPA funds to.
Right, right. I forgot about
Right.
that. Yes.
We're
Okay,
definitely looking into that.
okay. Okay. We need to do it.
Would be dumb
We
if we
got to do it.
didn't. If we didn't do it, would be dumb.
Well, and we've missed out on all these
Yeah.
opportunities in the past to
Yeah.
begin with.
It's not right to put it on the residents here,
Right, I agree.
so.
It should be the developer and whoever the homeowner is that is building. I totally
No,
agree.
it's not,
We need to smarten up.
yeah,
Good call.
Do we have a consensus to move forward?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Craig, is that what you needed?
that's what I needed. So with that being said, Mayor, then the capital improvement plan process is going to dramatically change because we're going to have to go through an engineering process and it'll all be incorporated with this. So I think we can just bypass that agenda item and
Okay.
worry
Oh,
about
that's what
capital
you said
improvement when
earlier.
we start working with a consultant.
Okay.
Okay.
But we still want.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go ahead and, well, I mean, he's going to come back to the meeting anyway and start working on all this. So, yeah, I think we can skip that tonight.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. Just
We
in
good?
general. Cool.
Okay. So, let's see, mayor's report. I don't really have anything. I mean, Craig included our meeting with Councilman Nettles in Fort Worth. That was in your weekly report.
Which
Had a
went out
good
late.
meeting,
I'm
so,
sorry.
what's that?
I said, which went out late. I'm sorry.
So, we'll see how that works out, but he seems to be on board with a lot of the issues that we are currently having.
Good.
And he
Okay.
loved the idea of the sidewalk to the Baxter Junior High. He was going to look into that one right away
Yay.
and start discussing that one.
Fort Worth already has Baxter listed as a school to do pedestrian traffic.
Mhm.
It's already on their radar for Fort Worth to come in and start making improvements.
Good.
So hopefully he can get in there and get the sidewalk added into that if it's not already in there. So
That's a boom.
Yeah.
that being said, next Tuesday, I will not be here in person. Hopefully I can get on virtually. I'm gonna let you run the meeting.
Okay.
So I'm lucky. I'll be in Seattle. I'll be on a boat heading to Alaska.
I love it.
So we'll see how that goes.
All right, everybody cross your
Poor
fingers
thing.
for the mayor.
So many, well, we might get there, and not be able to get on the damn boat. So
Oh, we're
gotta
not
have-
thinking negative.
got to have a COVID test done 2 days prior, and we're hoping we can get one done. So we're gonna get one done here, but that's 3 days before, so. City manager's report.
Wanted to let everybody know that Ken Stevenson, who's our maintenance worker, has put in his retirement papers, and his last day is actually September the 15th. He's got a little bit of sick time that he's actually burning. He just had to have some surgery done. So he's burning off the rest of that sick time. So he actually won't be back to work before then, but his official final goodbye is September the 15th. So as we've addressed this issue, we have, I have to explain this right. So we have a part-time parks position that is still vacant. We have not been able to fill that position. Ken's position was a full-time maintenance worker position. So what I've done is I've actually switched those positions. The parks position is now a full-time position. The maintenance worker position is now a part-time position. And we've had several applicants for that to start working on our janitorial work, because that is, we need that badly.
We need that.
So we actually have had some applicants and are looking to make a hire this week on the janitorial, which is still going to be a great cost savings for us. So nothing is changing there. And Public Works is going to benefit from having another full-time staff member on their team to help
Yes.
offset the workload that they always have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Has anybody applied for the parks job?
Yes, he's got 5 applicants right now that they're setting up interviews for to start
Yay.
working.
Good.
So
Excellent,
We've
yeah.
had a great response. We haven't had the staffing issues everybody else has.
Not
People want
knock
to
on
work
wood, right?
here. I'm okay with it. So yes, he's working on filling that position, but he
That's
won't fill that full-time position until after the 15th.
Right.
So the other thing is within the budget, we painted the one half of City Hall this last year. We're going to paint the other half, including inside City Council chambers this year. The painter has said that he wants to go ahead and get it done while he's got the crew available tomorrow. So he's going to come in and paint tomorrow. He's not going to bill us until the next budget year anyway. So he just wants to get it done while he has the crews available. So next week, when you come back to City Council, you'll have a freshly painted City Council chambers and lobby and things. That's why all the frames are down.
You won't smell it. Maybe you can see it.
So what are they gonna do down, like when you get to my area? Is it gonna go from gray to this color?
No, the whole hallway will be gray.
Well, I'm talking about going into my office.
Well, in your office will be this.
Okay,
But we can get the guys to come paint it.
well, I'm just wondering about, it's gonna have to go from one color to the next, whether they go down that hallway into my office.
Yeah, they're gonna go down that
The
hallway.
hallway's gonna
Okay.
be.
Yeah, that hallway down to your office will be painted.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Gray,
The same as what's on the other side. Yes, ma'am. A light gray.
a light gray.
Repose gray. I think is what it's called.
Repost grade.
Yeah.
It's actually a little bit lighter.
Yeah, it's
than
It's
actually-
this.
lighter than this.
Good. Gray
Yeah.
it sucks up color. This is not a good idea.
The gray?
Gray.
You don't like gray?
It sucks up color, up in the light. Makes it a little darker.
Well, no, it's a very light. Come
I'll have to go
look on
look.
the other side.
Okay, you
check
say
this
gray and I'm
out.
going dim.
No. It's lighter than this
It's
color.
very light.
It's
Better
very
be,
light.
because this is not.
I think you'll like it.
I'll go check.
Other than
very
that,
clean.
I have nothing else, man.
Okay, well, with that being said, it is 7:19. We are adjourned.
All right.
Not a bad meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get to do the clap.
You can have that.
There's 2 hour time difference instead of 1.